So when I was kind of looking over your influences before the interview, I noticed like quite a lot of writers in there, outside of songwriting, kind of fictional writers and non-fiction. I just wondered, do you kind of think music is kind of the new form of literature now?
I think there'll always be room for literature, but I think music is much more accessible than literature nowadays, simply because of how people enjoy that format. So if you can use music as a platform to be as creative and as strive to be as beautiful as literature, then yeah, maybe that makes a little more sense than as opposed to the new literature.
Yeah, it feels like as a writer, I mean, writing a book would be like the ultimate sort of accomplishment, and songwriting maybe a slightly bastardised version of
Novels, not
writing a novel. Yeah, but yeah, it's much a lazy way of writing a novel.
An album.
Yes, yeah.
And kind of the thing that I got when I was looking at like Kerouac and stuff you'd mentioned, I remember reading that and kind of getting caught up like in the romanticism of it and like wanting to kind of run away and stuff and that kind of thing.
That's exactly the impression that it gives. Yeah.
Was that kind of something that attracted you to rock and roll and like music? Was that kind of romanticism of rock and roll kind of something that drew you to it a little bit?
So Kerouac was a thing that influenced me in dropping out of university, for the reason that you mentioned about kind of makes you want to run away, and it kind of makes you want to run away. But in terms of rock and roll, I think we were music lovers from very young.
Yeah, I think it became the idea of rock and roll lifestyle the more you did it.
Yeah, like it allowed us.
That makes sense.
I think people like Kerouac and Ginsberg and Patti Smith and Nick Cave, I think they allowed us to cling on to a philosophy of a particular style of rock and roll, as opposed to being into it in the first place. That's how it feels in my head, anyway. But
No, I think I agree.
sure.
And then kind of one of the themes that I've noticed cropping up in your kind of writing and stuff quite a lot is the theme of control and being controlled. In kind of looking at it from a slightly different perspective, do you feel as artists that you kind of have more control than maybe you ever had in music, or do you think you have less? In the sense that the glory days of the label are kind of gone and stuff now.
Yeah, but
I think music's more accessible.
yeah,
So-
it's easy to sort of get into it in some senses, but then the nature of sort of Spotify and that sort of probably limits your freedom to maybe create what you want to create. There's kind of a, I don't know, it's difficult to say, because I always kind of wonder if like much has really changed, I don't know, it's a bit of a difficult question, isn't it? In some ways, with the nature of sort of social media, you're completely free, aren't you, to reach a mass audience, but the same way then there's no real revenue in that, so in that sense you're completely your hands are sort of tied, aren't they?
Yeah.
So then and then you sort of then left on relying, maybe you've got to write a hit single, but then as people have always had to write hit singles, haven't they, I suppose, in a certain sense, so maybe we just sort of look at it as with sort of rose tinted glasses almost.
And kind of what you're saying there about having to write a hit single, the kind of traditional way that they are is generally like a kind of heartbreak song or a song about a girl, but you've never really done that. You've kind of always tackled bigger themes. Was there ever the temptation to write a song like that, or has it always been tackling bigger issues and more interesting things?
No, I think we've always wanted to approach this in a more interesting manner than what would be the norm, if you like. That was something that we went into this band in the first place, and we'd set out that we said, right, we're not writing about that thing that just doesn't, it doesn't relate to us. It's been done, and why would you not try and be as original as possible?
I don't like write those songs sort of, I think we just write what comes naturally, and we just have more of an interest, I suppose, on that bigger picture. I think it's just more interesting for an audience as well to listen to and maybe engage in. You can engage in, everyone can engage in the bigger issues, can't they? But you can't really engage in Tom's love life.
Non-existent.
There isn't one.
Tom engages in that either.
No, I don't engage in my love life. Yeah, it's a wasted pastime.
Kind of what we spoke about control.
Just getting grilled in. Sorry.
Sorry. Speaking about control earlier on, in kind of the control you have, on the other kind of receiving end of it, do you think music has more power than it's ever had and more influence over people?
As I was saying, it's more accessible, so maybe you could relate that to having more power as you can reach out to more people. But
I think the grime scene would be something to look at if we were to touch on that point. And that is probably one of the most... that probably wouldn't be as powerful if it wasn't as accessible as it is.
It's there with bands like Idols as well, though, isn't it? Who've sort of had a massive sort of thing. But I don't think many bands are as central to sort of social movements if they have been previous. I suppose if you look back, to the 60s sort of thing.
Relating a musician to an actual...
Yeah, maybe there's less of that now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, certainly.
But the imagery of control that we use is obviously different too. That is a whole other thing of a dystopian level of control, and obviously just the individual being controlled by a big brother type. But yeah, it's a cool question.
And like you mentioned, dystopia and kind of Big Brother there, and obviously 1984 kind of spawned the whole song, and it does kind of crop up similar themes in your stuff, and it's kind of like a novel now that's more timeless than it's ever been. Is that kind of something you strive for with your music, to try and have it this timeless quality that it'll be prominent maybe like in 20 years time?
Definitely, I think that was the idea of including so much dystopian literature, so we didn't speak so directly about 2018 or 2017, I suppose, when we sort of wrote most of the album. To have that purpose, so the album does sort of live on, so you can listen to this in 20 years, and although you kind of wish it's like not relevant in 20 years, the chances are it probably will be, and people therefore can listen to it, a new generation can listen to it. So although you want it to be a document, you also want it to have that sort of longevity.
I think that's where you've got to be shrewd as a writer as well, to try and maintain that sort of anonymous level of topic. Otherwise, you just completely pigeonhole yourself to that place and time, and so I think we actively go out to try and not mention names or celebrity. Well, I say celebrities, but
I think with the culture we live in as well.
But Kardashians are probably going to end up like a royal family type. They're going to have this fucking... There'll be a great-great-granddaughter of Kim Kardashian who's still around. A dynasty. The Kardashian dynasty.
Wowza.
Oh, it's coming.
I think with the culture...
You told me about a flight for 9 hours.
With the culture living as well, everything's so fast moving, and if you do pigeonhole yourself into one specific thing, then
Your music lasts about 6 months.
I think that goes back to the control. Back to that first
shelf life, aren't you?
Of course, that first question on control as well. I think the nature of having like the lack of control to record and release, like sort of on the spot, means that if we sort of reference everyday things in our songs, we don't release them for another year, and it's kind of gone anti. So there's also that sort of time.
Yeah.
It's come full circle.
And so, like, a bit of time has kind of passed since the first album now. In looking back on it, do you think you've kind of changed as people since that first album? And if so, how do you think that kind of impacts upon the music?
Yeah, I think, given the... Well, I mean, my own philosophy is that people should actively want to change, and those who resent that are, often left behind, and people say that change is, as an insult, which is completely bizarre. But no, I think because of the level of gigs that we've been doing after the album had come out, and obviously we wouldn't have been able to do that with releasing that then. Yeah, of course, but change is good, and
I've never understood that. Well, you've changed, man. Well, of course you fucking changed.
Yeah.
Why would I not change?
It is bizarre, but yeah. But so
Where are you from?
where are you from?
Oh my god.
Manchester, England. Oh my god. Yeah. So change is inevitable, and those who don't embrace it are suckers.
And are you kind of conscious in the direction you want the music to change, or is it something you're more allowed to happen naturally?
I think it happened naturally, and then now it's become a conscious thought. I think we sort of let it flow, and then we
Yeah, and I
finally
think there's kind of
decided on a set thing.
yeah.
we do,
I think like sort of moving forward as well. That's again sort of letting things naturally progress, but also being conscious if they're not naturally progressing. You know.
What's the quote? Choose the right path and it'll follow itself. Is it something like that?
It is now.
It is now.
There you go. Coin it.
Coin it. Write it down.
And kind of looking at time as a whole, obviously we're speaking about the future, but kind of looking in the opposite direction at the past, if there was another decade that you could exist as a band in, or another kind of movement of music, what kind of movement or time would you choose?
I'd go in the future. See what that holds. That'd be quite interesting.
Decade.
I'll leave you to that one.
Yeah, go in the
I
future.
think you'd be jumping back here quickly.
You reckon?
Don't know. Never been.
Never been.
No, I reckon 60s. I don't know.
I don't think we'd be received very well in the 60s at all.
I don't know. I think we would.
No, too socialist. We'd get booted out of the country, being communists.
We wouldn't be writing the same style. I suppose then we're not the same band.
But there you go. That's the idea, isn't it?
I'd be in the Beatles. Simple as.
I'd be the Beatles.
It's got to be the best of the Beatles.
By the Beatles.
And what you mentioned there about the future, and you kind of, do you think music's heading in a good direction, or do you think it is kind of getting worse overall?
No, I think the same sort of quality of bands are probably still present. Yeah. You go on about this golden era of the 60s, but how many bands were also tossed, you know what I mean?
No one remembers.
Exactly, yeah, so it's always kind of easy to say that, you know, oh, there's so many good bands in the 60s, but there's also so many bad ones as well, and just there's so many amazing sort of bands now. So yeah, I think it's just one of those, if you look sort of hard enough and sort of break through that sort of
cellophane wrap of
yeah,
commercialism.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, there's still, you know, we just like I said, just been at South by Southwest, and the amount of great bands playing there, you know. Did you know I've been to South by Southwest?
Did you know?
But yeah, that kind of just goes to show, you know, how many sort of artists there still are plugging away at it, so the future's bright.
I think so.